General Hospital spoilers reveal that I remember sitting in my living room with my morning coffee back in the 80s, glued to the screen when the Cassadine family first started stirring up trouble. And here we are in 2026 with Cassius doing something that feels every bit as dangerous and personal as anything his father ever pulled off. What's happening right now with Cassius and his ruthless campaign against Jocelyn has me on the edge of my seat in a way I haven't felt since the old days of Luke and Laura's adventures. I've seen plenty of villains come and go in Port Charles, but this man is playing a long game that's both chilling and, if I'm being honest, brilliantly calculated in ways that make the whole canvas feel alive again. Let me start by saying how deeply I've come to care about these characters after all these decades. Jocelyn has grown up before our eyes, from that sweet little girl who used to tag along with Carly to the strong, determined young woman who's now secretly working for the WSB. She's always had that fire in her, the same one her mother carries, and watching her walk straight into danger because she refuses to let a mystery go unsolved reminds me so much of the brave women this show has always celebrated. But right now, Cassius has her backed into a corner at Windermere, and the stakes feel higher than ever. He's not just trying to scare her off, he's methodically working to destroy her completely, and that shift in his thinking is what has me so riveted. After everything he's done to cover up what really happened on the pier with Rocco, he's realized that framing Jocelyn as the one who shot Cullum could solve multiple problems at once. It's a cold, calculated pivot, and I can't help but admire how the writers are letting this character evolve into something even more layered than we first thought. I've been turning this over in my mind for days, and here's what stands out to me as a longtime viewer. Cassius has spent weeks trying to keep the truth about Rocco's involvement buried, protecting the boy while keeping Ross Cullum in the dark about the real events on that dock. But when Britt let it slip that Jocelyn is a WSB agent, everything changed for him. Suddenly, he saw an opportunity to redirect suspicion entirely. By pinning the shooting on Jocelyn, he not only protects Rocco and himself, but he also creates a perfect scapegoat who's already been poking around in his business. It's the kind of twist that feels both shocking and inevitable when you look back at how carefully Cassius has been playing his hand. He's not the hot-headed villain we sometimes get. He's patient, and that patience is what makes his threat feel so real and so frightening for everyone who loves Jocelyn. And now the latest developments have taken this story to an even darker place. Cassius isn't content with simply silencing her or keeping her locked away at Windermere. He's adjusting his calculations in a way that's truly terrifying. He wants to send her all the way to the WSB's facility in Jakarta, making it look like she's the one who tried to finish off Cullum in cold blood. I keep asking myself, how did we get here so quickly? One moment she's investigating a man she thought was Nathan West, and the next she's fighting for her life while Cassius quietly builds a case that could ship her off to the other side of the world. What's so clever and so heartbreaking about this plan is how neatly it ties up his loose ends. If the WSB believes Jocelyn is the shooter, the heat comes off Rocco completely. The boy won't have to live with the secret eating him alive anymore, and Cassius can breathe easier knowing his own secrets stay buried. But of course, nothing in Port Charles ever stays simple, and I have a strong feeling this Jakarta move is going to create a brand new disaster that none of us saw coming. What really has my heart racing is how this scheme is rippling out to touch Carly and Valentine in ways that are driving them both to the brink. Carly has already been through so much losing control of her own life, more times than I can count. And now she's watching her daughter disappear into this nightmare while she's entangled in her own complicated feelings. For Valentine, I've watched Carly fight for her children with every ounce of strength she has, and seeing her forced to confront the possibility that Jocelyn could be framed and sent away is pushing her into a kind of frantic desperation I haven't seen in years. Valentine, for his part, has been trying to walk a fine line between his past and whatever redemption he's seeking now, but Cassius's moves are forcing him into corners he never expected. The two of them together, trying to hold things together while this threat looms, feel like they're one step away from cracking under the pressure. It's the kind of emotional layering this show does best, mixing high-stakes danger with the quiet, personal toll it takes on the people we love most. And then there's the Jason angle, which might be the most hopeful thread running through all this darkness. I've missed Jason terribly since the WSB pulled him away, and like so many longtime fans, I've been counting the days until he walks back into Port Charles. Here's where Cassius's plan could actually backfire in the most satisfying way. If the story holds that Jocelyn is the one who shot Cullum, it could give Jason the opening he needs to clear his name and come home sooner than anyone expected. I've seen Jason take the fall for people he loves more times than I can count, and the idea that his sacrifice might be undone because Cassius overreaches feels like the kind of poetic justice this show delivers when we least expect it. Of course, I know better than to count on anything being straightforward. There are always complications, but the possibility alone has me smiling through my worry. Jason returning early would change everything for Carly, for their whole family, and for the balance of power in town. What fascinates me most is how Cassius's need for total control is actually making everything spiral further out of his grasp. Every adjustment he makes to protect himself, and Rocco seems to create new cracks in the foundation. He thought framing Jocelyn would be clean and final, but instead it's pulling more people into the web. Carly's frantic search for her daughter, Valentine's growing involvement, and even the quiet suspicions building around Rocco that refuse to stay hidden. I've seen this pattern before in Port Charles. Villains who believe they're one step ahead always end up leaving a trail of evidence that someone eventually follows. Cassius is smart, I'll give him that, but he's underestimating the love and loyalty that binds this town together. Jocelyn isn't going down without a fight, and neither is her mother. That's what keeps me coming back every single day, the knowledge that no matter how dark things get, the good people of Port Charles find a way to push back. I keep thinking about how different this feels from the old Faison stories I watched all those years ago. Cassius isn't just repeating his father's mistakes, he's refined them, made them more personal and more surgical. Where the elder Faison thrived on chaos, Cassius seems to crave order through destruction, and that makes him uniquely dangerous. Yet even with all his careful planning, the human element keeps slipping through Rocco's guilt, Britt's divided loyalties, Lulu's fierce protectiveness. These relationships are what give the story its heart, and they're exactly what I believe will ultimately bring Cassius down. I've learned after 45 years that the show always rewards patience. The payoff might not come next week or even next month, but when it does, it will be worth every sleepless night I've spent wondering what's going to happen to Jocelyn. Right now, the air in Port Charles feels thick with tension, the kind you can almost taste when you sit down to watch. Every new episode leaves me with more questions than answers, and that's exactly why I still love this show after all this time. Will Carly and Valentine be able to pull off whatever risky plan they're cooking up before Cassius ships Jocelyn off to Jakarta? Can Jason's return be the miracle we're all hoping for? Or will new evidence complicate everything even more? I don't know the answers yet, but I know one thing for certain. The writers have us right where they want us, hearts pounding and eyes fixed on the screen. And as someone who's been here through every flood, every wedding, every shocking revelation, I wouldn't have it any other way. This is the kind of storytelling that reminds me why I fell in love with General Hospital in the first place. The relentless hope that even when everything seems lost, the people we care about will find their way back to the light. I can't wait to see what happens next, and I know I'm not alone. We've all been here before, and we'll be here again, cheering them on together.